are twinkling, AI's on the rise. Santa's got data right before your eyes.
AI to the Sky, the podcast for those who build the future, not those who fear it.
Neil, let me start with something that keeps founders up at night. You are running an e-commerce brand. Sales are good, but you are working almost 60 hours a week just to keep up. What's one thing most entrepreneurs get completely wrong about automation?
Yeah. Well, and yeah, that's a broad question, and thank you for that. And I'll try to address it as succinct as I can. And thank you again for having me on the show. I think what people miss in the world of entrepreneurialism is we have this go, 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 do, got to get it done today. If something doesn't happen today or tomorrow, then I'm a failure and I got to, do all these things. So they tend to overwork. They mask, activity with productivity. And what we learn to do over a longer period of time is to do more in less time. And one of the ways to kind of cheat code that is to time block activities, right? Is to put on your calendar, well, I'm going to do this time for this thing and this time for that thing. And I'm going to dedicate that time, to this particular activity. Even if it takes me 2 days to time block it, I'm still going to get it done, and unless it has a time-based priority that has to be, fulfilled by a specific time. They tend to, do a whole lot of things and not recognize the real activities, or what I call the revenue-generating activities that impact their business in the most direct way possible. Sometimes they're even avoiding it because it's a conflict to something they don't feel comfortable doing. They don't necessarily know how to deal with it. There's a gap in experience or knowledge. And so they just go do a bunch of other things. And when they, people talk to them, they tend to say similar kinds of phrases. I'm just really busy right now. My calendar's really full. I got to do this stuff. And they just overwork themselves and burn out.
So that's fascinating because you help over, I don't know, thousands entrepreneurs escape for that trap. For our audience in Latin America and English and Spanish-speaking markets who are watching Amazon FBA from the outside, thinking this is only for Silicon Valley people, what you would say to them?
I actually know guys from Mexico who sell in the United States. We have people from Canada. We have people from England and Saudi Arabia and New Zealand and Australia. So there really isn't a limitation of opportunity in the United States market if you're outside the United States market. There are certain things you would have to do to sell into the US-based market for compliance reasons, legal reasons, and that. But those are things that can be overcome with the right business rules and the right leadership to show you how to get it done. The U.S. marketplace is generally the largest market of consumable goods in the United States. For the world is the United States. So there's a huge amount of opportunity in the United States versus other marketplaces around the world. You're going to find that after the United States, the next 3 or 4 don't make up as much as the United States marketplace does. So if you're going to focus your attention and you're in Mexico and Latin America, you should really consider doing what it takes to sell in the United States.
So today we are diving into something critical, how AI is changing the game for e-commerce, not just in automation, but in building brands you can actually exit from. Neil has been doing this for 17 or 18 years, and in his book, Almost Automated Income with FBA, hit #1 for a reason. People are hungry for this.
Yes.
We'll cover how to build without burning out, the AI tools that actually matter, and real exit strategies. So let's go. So thank you for being here, Neil. And I don't know if you can tell us, where are you and where are you from?
Yeah. So I'm in the United States, clearly. I'm in Missouri, which is kind of the middle of the country, in a little place outside of Ozarks, which some people know if they've ever watched the show Ozarks on Prime. It's a country setting. There's a small town next to us of about 1,800 people. My house is a mile down a dirt road. We usually walk that every day for about 4 miles to get some exercise out in the country when it's not, 20 degrees Fahrenheit here, which is pretty cold.
Yeah, of course.
But when we, thought about this location, we thought about peace and tranquility. There's about 40 acres that we have here, plus an additional 12 to 15 with my in-laws and stuff up the hill. So we have quite a bit of, family and connectivity to this place and homeschool my family here with my daughters. So we get to hang out a lot and do business and life together. And the goal of, building my business starting in 2007 was to get out of the corporate rat race, to get away from the corporate business I was in before at IBM, and to really start building a business that could create a lifestyle. And so I spent the better part of 18 years positively growing and failing in my own way through different online and offline businesses to establish a true relationship with brand building in the physical private label world, which has allowed me to achieve the things I wanted to achieve in life. Staying with my family, building great business, making millions of dollars doing it, and having fun with a lot of people and creating products that the market wants and enjoying that process. Things have changed somewhat. As you mentioned, AI has become a component of all real businesses at this point that are using it to compress time or create opportunity, not necessarily just replace jobs, but just create replacement of product or opportunity for product in the market, the images, the graphics, the copy, the content of it. We don't necessarily have to wait as long for certain activities in the product development workflow to occur because AI can now time compress that. We don't have to go do, terribly detailed photo shoots. They're really expensive. We can do smaller photo shoots and then use AI to expand, those photo shoots into all kinds of product types from a visual perspective, including videos, which can be used to take those initial images and put them into videos and expand that product segment out to, just about every conceivable and imaginable thing you can think of that product doing can be done through the use of AI. And now we don't have to hire photographers and go on set and go to a location and edit all this video and do all this stuff. We can compress that time down and create and build within that environment. We can discover products faster using AI now. We have a tool set we developed years ago that was built into a spreadsheet that got built into a tool set that is now built into a SaaS platform that is connected to Amazon's data and tells us, certain data components we need to know, and then it filters and churns and burns, and it's helped us kind of learn and discover product opportunities that are driven by data, not by emotion. They're driven by customer demand, not do I think it might sell. It's already selling. Now, can I brand and compete in the market with my own version of it? This changes the speed by which we can do product development, product research in that discovery phase, and then use that data to validate the sales and marketing component, and then both build the engine of economics that comes around it, okay, when it goes into Amazon, and then support the movement of that product through marketing, logistics, freight, and management using AI tool sets to track it and optimize it. So we can take one person now and replicate them into 3 or 4 businesses with the use of those tool sets, whereas before I would need 3 to 4 operators plus a team for each of them to manage those companies. Now we have shared services with AI tool sets that have one operator running 4 companies. So we can change the way that we compress time, drive profit, drive economies of scale, and of course produce great products in what the market wants to grow these brands.
Yes, you're right. you almost explained it all.
Yeah, there are ways to make sure that it's usable in your business, and tactically we can maybe talk about some of that.
Yeah, for sure. So, Neil, let's start with the basics. You mentioned in your work that you use 5-5-5 game plan.
Yeah,
Can
the
you
5 by
break
5.
that down in simple terms, maybe for those people who doesn't understand how this works, please?
Yeah, it's part of a question that a lot of people have when they think about e-commerce, and that is, well, what do I sell? What do I actually sell to make an e-commerce brand work? And they want a lot of product ideas. They want to know about my product ideas. But in the end, what I would rather them understand is not what to think, but how to think about selling a product. Okay. Which means if I give you one of my products, that doesn't mean you're going to magically go sell the same product and make the same level of money as me. Okay. What we need to understand is how do we come to that product base? And now by tool sets and AI information, as well as the logistics of that information and presentation, along with the knowledge of experience, we can now identify all kinds of product opportunities that are literally in demand right now. So the real objective is to ensure that we go with enough data to make statistically relevant information that makes decisions on what time, energy, attention, and money we should put into the product. Okay. So the 5x5 game plan was a way a long time ago for us to get more data about the kinds of products for our brand that would support the market, and then identify which of those products, indicators, data, and results told us where to put our time, energy, attention, and money, and then be able to repeat that process over and over again. Not a one-hit wonder, but a process of data engineering, product research, product launching, product validation, product, market share that we can attach to that along with branding and ads campaigns, and where to put the money and time required to let those go out and become a household name in the United States. And so what we did was we developed a process by which we'll launch 5 products in a marketable brand, which we know are in demand because the data tells us they're in demand. We green light them, which means basically in our green light system, it's either green, yellow, or red. And the data points tell us if it's yellow or red, it's because the ROI or net profit are too low and the search term volume and need for it is too low. And so we would have to address a product that has all of those things: demand, high profitability, the ability to upsell that brand to new products and brand line, and the market research that tells us that we can go into that market and take away some of its market share. And all of that can be done through data analytics, right? So what we do is we then go out and we say, okay, here are 5 product ideas, which we'll launch either together or back to back very quickly. And we'll take 100 to 300, up to 500 units sometimes, depending upon how big the market share is or how much we're kind of feeling like we can risk in this market test. And we give it to the market. We are not Elon Musk. We will not tell the market what it wants, and neither will you, but we are smart enough to read the data and then understand from that data what to do next to turn it into a real opportunity. So a lot of people think, well, if I launch one product and it doesn't work, the whole thing doesn't work. And that's a fallacy in the argument of launching ecom. If I launch 5 products, okay, with my goal of keeping them at $12 in net profit or more, and all 5 of those products sell an average of 5 units a day, I'm at 25 units a day across 5 products. And at $12, I'm going to get roughly $300 a day in net profit. These are numbers by which I can now get statistical relevance as to which products are starting to rise to the top, which ones that are successfully starting to sell through that first test order are ones that now get 1,000 units and go to a full product launch. So as that economic engine starts to go, I'm simply following the data. I'm not guessing because I spent 80% of the research knowing that the market needed it, it would be profitable, there was market share and opportunity. But that 20% you will not know until you actually sell it in the market. And when I sell it in the market, I'm selling data to an AI engine. And I'm telling the AI engine, here's what I have, here's what I believe it is, and now I need the engine to respond like a giant prompt. I need the engine to respond and say, we get it. We get it. You have this product. And we know there are 36 million people searching a year for that product that bought 425,000 of those last year, and will buy that much in the next, 360 days. And we know what kind of product you have, and so here's how we're going to present it to the audience. This engine that does that now is all AI driven. So when I put all that data together for that product, I'm literally prompting the engine to say, did I get it right? Is the data right? Did it convert right? Is it the right message? Is it the right size, shape, variation, price point? And the market then tells me what it wants to buy from me. So statistically, I need to give it enough data to make it relevant. If I launch one product, it's not enough data for relevance. So the 5x5 is to keep pushing products into that market share and into that brand until I discover my hero products, which will literally come out of the data. Those that are discovered, they get the marketing, they get more inventory. We put good money after products that will good. So we don't marry our products. So the 5x5 methodology is so you don't fall in love with your products. The products are just the gas in the engine of your brand. And the brand is a portfolio of multiple types of products that will eventually be in there, hopefully 10, 20, 50 SKUs or more. And that's the engine that makes the whole brand value turn into something that has an intrinsic and saleable value to it in later days, like 3-5 years down the road. You now have a saleable trademark brand value that creates the economic engine you want. So the 5x5 methodology is a process of finding out which products become your hero products. And in the process of not marrying your products, you will discover from the data which ones they want to buy from you. And that's where your opportunity becomes right there. That's either yours to gain or lose.
Uh, That was a compelling example. Here's where it gets interesting in our tech-savvy audience. You've been in this space for almost 17 years. You've seen Amazon change. You've
Yes,
seen automation evolve.
correct.
How is AI today different from the automation tools from, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago?
Sure, five,
What?
5 to 10 years ago is extremely different. I can go into the
Yes.
Wayback Machine for a second and tell you that in my days in IBM, I was building knowledge management and human machine language learning models with the IBM teams and Watson out of Armonk, and we were building the predictive and analytic engines that have become the framework of the large language models that power AI today. And we were doing that back in the early 2000s. And I can tell you that we've evolved not just from there. That jump from 2000 to about 2012 was just made in the last 5 years. So that's how fast we've compounded exponentially into the data and systems and production of those systems and the ability to retrieve that content and to see these systems turn over, information way faster and more intelligently than we've ever seen. And in the last 5 years, it seems like it's just exploded, right? And that's, a technological leap at an advanced level greater than when the internet came online, right? Which was a pretty big technological leap. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And so now we're seeing something that's probably 1,000 times greater than that. So it has changed very dramatically. It's gone that in the last 5 to 10 years, we sold product to the consumers in a direct response marketing world, even on Amazon. Okay. While we produced product and sold in those engines, we still had to really make sure we knew who the customer was, spoke to the customer, and were the ones that were predominantly responsible for ensuring that the customer understood and would know why they were buying our product. Okay. That is slightly changed in one side, which is we have to make sure that the engine knows exactly, what kind of product we're producing in our data. Okay. But now the product itself, with all of this information, okay, billions of products being sold in Amazon, moving 6,000 units a minute, that machine is learning at the pace of, it's insane how fast it's learning, actually. And from that learning, it's now become its own economic engine turning in the middle of this. Between me and the customer is this economic engine that knows everything about the billion data points it pulls together for every consumer and all of their history and everybody that looks like them and everything that they primarily bought in the last, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, and all that information pulling together and then being able to take your information, your giant prompt of, images, graphics, coffee, listing and stuff on Amazon, and then take all that information, turn and burn it and say, okay, you represent, 15 million, 20 million people who want that product. And then I'm going to turn and burn and determine how fast I can get somebody to buy that product in whatever capacity possible. It is now doing that for us.
Yes, you're right. Because I was seeing that too, and it's like Giggle, right? Those
Yeah.
data sets has to be well prepared, or
Yes.
otherwise it's going to give you trash, right? Can you give us what's a realistic timeline if somebody, I don't know, starts today? When could they realistically exit, and what kind of multiples are we talking about?
Yep. So realistic exits for a company are a minimum of 5 years. Now, can you exit smaller than 5 years, 3 years, whatever? Absolutely. You just won't get the maximum benefit of your exit. So what I would suggest is, this is a 5-year plan if you get started. Okay. First year is your growth year. It's your startup year. It's your attack to 5x5 to get those products in the marketplace and figure out what products are going to start powering your brand so that in year 2, brand growth and a realization of brand, your narrative, and what people know about you, including the products and additional product lines, allows your growth opportunity. Okay. By years 3 to 5, you could be in scale if you continue that process into the next 3 to 5 years. Defining a market, discovering a market, building into that market, and optimizing into that market so that a real opportunity in 5 years to exit could be yours. Amazon is a single sales channel. It is not a business. Multi-channel, omni-channel is a business. So Amazon is the first place you incubate your products if you want to test a market, validate your market share, validate who you're speaking to, and then as you go through years 2, 3, 4, and 5, you move into additional sales channels once you reach certain points of success, right, in Amazon. Once you prove certain product types are going well for you and capitalization is under control and your inventory is under control and things are really starting to grow, I usually recommend my clients do not open a separate sales channel outside of Amazon until they reach their first 7 figures. So they need to stay focused on their first 7 figures on Amazon to really own and eat market share up until they go take the time and energy to devote to another channel. Every channel is a different beast. And it's not just as easy as saying, well, I sell on Amazon, let me go flip up a TikTok shop and I'll go blow that up. No, it's just not that simple. Okay. It's an opportunity, but it's not just that simple. There are DTC channels, of course, like Shopify and Meta, and some people prefer to start there, and there are pros and cons to how you would start on which one. I analogize it kind of like this. A lot of people who are iPhone users just use the phones not because they're overly technical, but because they just work. They kind of like the idea that they work. They don't have a lot of technical problems with it. It just works. And that's kind of Amazon. A lot of other people like Android and technology because they like to tweak and geek, and that's fine. I used to build my own computers and do that too. But they like to tweak and geek. They're a little bit more on that side of it. And that's where you're going to find the DTC world, which is pixels and tweaking and conversions and your own funnels and optimizing your Shopify store and tweaking and geeking and all those things until they become dialed in. That's a whole nother skill set. Okay. And that may be something that someone who's listening to this feels more comfortable doing. Those who have never sold in e-commerce, I prefer to take to Amazon to get them out of the technical components and into the business mindset first. What does it take? Profit and loss, product opportunity and pipeline, capitalization and cash flow, operational capital, capital expenditures for product and inventory, and really teach them the fundamentals of the business first before they go try to do things that are too technical or more technical in nature. Okay. The business is really what makes the whole thing go. So when you get through your first channel, if it's a sales channel, Amazon only, it's 2.8 to 3.2, depending upon the profitability, size, history, and some other factors that play into your business as to whether you might get a 2.8 multiple of profit or your exit, or a 3, okay, or 3.2. If you have additional sales channels, you can usually add on between 1 to 3 basis points on your multiples of exit for every additional channel you have. So if you go to Shopify and a TikTok and an Amazon and a retail, you might see 10x on your multiples. You might see up to 15 if you have a good subscriber base that is continually churning over monthly revenue. But I like to keep it a little more simple for people at the beginning because really maximizing one channel of opportunity is a big opportunity. If you have never done it and sold on e-commerce, the thing is you don't have to know all the details. You don't exactly have to know what the hell to sell if you've got a process in place. Daniel was one of those guys. Daniel came in 2020 and launched his business. He didn't have any e-commerce experience whatsoever. He knew enough about business to be dangerous, and we taught him the rest of the fundamentals to make sure he understood an e-com business, cash flow, operations, and management of the company. Fast forward, he turns his company into a $15 to $17 million a year business, and now in 2025, he's in the process of exiting a $29 million exit, okay, in 5 years. And so he opened additional channels, and Shopify was one of those, along with Amazon, and that got him a very large exit on his business. So it really is not, again, a side hustle or hobby business we're talking about in my world. Flipping products for profit or making a side hustle or a cash. That's great. And sometimes you need that. I've needed that in my walk in life when I ran into trouble. So I understand that need. But I'm also not in that place, and that's not what I do, and that's not really who I help in that way. I'm not looking for side hustle, hobbyists and enthusiasts. I'm looking for people who want to build a real business that in 3 to 5 years could be life-changing and are willing to dedicate the time, energy, attention, and money to do that. Those are the kind of people I'm speaking to.
Okay, so let's do the rapid fire round.
Okay.
Quick, honest, quick answers.
All right.
Are you ready?
Go.
Okay, the biggest mistake you see new FBA sellers make in 2025?
Same one they've been making for years. Emotional-based decisions without data, not data-driven decisions.
Oh, okay. One AI tool for e-commerce you can't live without right now?
It's actually one you don't have access to, which is my own tool set that I spent years and years developing that we use internally called Cayman Data. And that intelligence engine will be available soon at caimandata.com, at CAIMAN data.com. which others can use, but it is an intelligence data set of discovery, build, and optimize, which is data sets from us and Amazon that basically show you the customer need and intent. And that's the tool we use to run our companies. So we can't live without it.
Okay, we are going to wait for that.
It's coming.
So, okay, that's good to know. Amazon versus your own Shopify store. What's your take for someone starting today?
There you go. So kind of covered that, I guess, a little bit a minute ago. So forgive me for stepping ahead. But Amazon first and then Shopify second when the time makes sense to open an additional channel.
Okay. So prediction, where is e-commerce automation headed in the next 3 years?
So the warehouses and infrastructure, the logistics and last mile delivery are all the first to be impacted. So that is going to change the speed, momentum, and movement of product even faster than we see it today.
Real talk, what percentage of people who try FBA actually succeed? And why do they others fail?
So in the overarching, for what I understand in the numbers, it is close to 60% to 70% of people actually fail at it, and it takes them about 2 years to do it. The reason predominantly that happens as they get going, get started, maybe on a course or something else, is they don't really understand the fundamentals of operating the company. They don't understand the requirement of the cash flow needs and management of those cash flow needs once they have some success. And because they didn't learn how they sort of got there, a lot of times they can't repeat it and grow it accurately in the market. So they kind of trail along until market changes, price changes, they get stuck acquiescing decisions a little bit out of fear or lack of knowledge. And then eventually it kind of crashes and burns. So really the number one thing is the lack of knowledge on how to manage a company correctly. Not even about the products and stuff, because they can identify those things and they can find out what's going on, but they don't know how to grow, manage, and optimize it because they simply were never taught the business.
If someone has like $10,000 to start, what's the smartest move today?
Triple it and launch once you triple it. You're always going to need at least 3 times the amount of money you think you're going to need to overcome your own challenges of learning and executing, of failing forward when something doesn't work that may be time related, which is costly, or monetary related, which is also costly, in the process of giving yourself enough time to become successful. Okay. People tell me, well, how much time do I need? How much money do I need? How long is this going to take? And my answer to that always is, how long is a piece of string?
You help 1,000 people build business. You written a best-selling book. You run Voltage Holdings. When you look at the next generation of entrepreneurs in Latin America, Asia, Europe, people who maybe don't have Silicon Valley connections, what's one piece of advice that you could change their trajectory?
One piece of advice. Well, that's a tough one because I have multiple. Your opportunity begins at the end of your excuses.
So for people listening who want to learn more about your 555 game, where should they go?
So they can go to voltagedm.com. There's an opportunity to grab a digital or physical copy of the book. We even have a What the Heck Do I Sell GPT that kind of shows you, using our Cayman data model, the first levels of question and information and suggestions around what kind of products you could sell, including who you can sell them to and information that's available there. And then there's discovery questions and tools and things that they can get involved, including workshops and other information that might be valuable on their journey to go through and do their due diligence as to whether or not e-commerce is the boat they can get in to go from their hell island to their heaven island. Because I'm living in my heaven island now, and that's just going to take you a rowboat to get there, and maybe e-commerce is the best way to do that.
Okay. So, Neil, thank you so much for being here.
AI is coming for actors, artists, and podcasters. Lucky for you, we're still human. Subscribe now. AI to the sky.
Santa's got data right before your eyes from Latin